Hey guys, it's smeefu, and welcome back to my second tier list video, this time on the Mirage patch. Now this patch has shaken up the meta a huge amount due to things being changed like securing and denying, where denying is extremely hard now, and bullet damage being nerfed across the board due to level ups giving less base bullet damage to every single hero. I have around 1,200 hours in the game now, and I've been playing a lot of scrims and tournaments recently, so I believe I'm ready to bring you the tier list for this patch now. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, because as you can see, 93% of you guys that watch my videos are not actually subscribed, so please help a guy out and hit that button. I try to bring the most informative content possible. In the meantime, be sure to comment down below after you watch. I'm happy to discuss anything on the tier list. I do love to debate different decisions I've made, and I'm sure a lot of them might trigger you guys. But please enjoy the video. So starting off with Abrams. Abrams before was in S tier, but because of what I said in the intro about the different changes this patch, especially to do with securing and denying souls in the lane phase, Abrams really suffered in my opinion. Abrams was so strong before because he could just shove the wave against a lot of these heroes. Almost everyone in a 1v1 lane, Abrams could shove the wave uncontested at unmatched speeds, and then he could stand at the bottom of the ramp, consistently shooting the enemy hero, and then also denying a lot of their creeps. But now he simply can't do that. You can't deny consistently at all. It's much harder. You only really deny if you're one, extremely close to the creep you're trying to deny, and two, if the enemy is missing or mistiming. So that really hurts Abrams. Now he's not able to get ahead from lane. He has zero range capability, so it's hard for him to kill people at turret, because he can't get more money than them from denies. So with this making it hard for him to get ahead, it also makes it very hard for him to snowball, which was the only reason he was so good before. So for me, Abrams has fallen down to B. I could see low A, but for me, I'm going to call him a B tier hero now. Bebop. Bebop is also someone who was really high, but now I'm going to call him a B hero as well. This is because, again, his laning has been hurt. The secure deny change has really hurt Bebop. Being the only hero in the game with a hit scan weapon, Bebop was absolutely disgusting to fight against. He would deny every single creep that you weren't meleeing, and it was just not fun to play against at all. But now Bebop cannot deny creeps anywhere near as easily, so his laning phase is really hurt, and heroes can afford to play much more passive against him and not peek his hooks to, go for to melee creeps so that he doesn't deny them, as it's just not a threat anymore. So this really hurt Bebop, and they've also done a few nerfs to his ult, making it not as strong as it was before. So I think Bebop is also a B tier right now. Then we're going to move on to Dynamo. Dynamo was an S tier for me. I still think he's extremely strong, but now we're going to have to put Dynamo in A. Don't get me wrong, I think this hero is amazing. His ultimate is still absolutely obnoxious, but with how important I think laning is in this game, his lane phase is definitely a negative. He's not the greatest laner, but also my narrative for the S tiers this patch is a lot different, and you'll see it soon. We do have an S tier coming up here, and I'll talk about why I don't have Dynamo in the S tier anymore. But for now, he's A. He's still very strong, do not get me wrong. Then we have Grey Talon. Grey Talon, for me, someone I believe has some potential. I think he's a strong laner. His CSing, his securing and denying was pretty bad, but now that doesn't really matter as it's hard for the enemy to deny. He can do a bit better in lane than he did before, even though he was already a strong laner. I just don't see him ever doing anything, and I don't know enough about the hero to try to guess at where he could be. So for now, I'm going to put Grey Talon in D. He just seems a lot worse than pretty much everyone here. So yeah, Grey Talon's probably one of the worst heroes in the game for me. Then we have Haze. Haze, I believe I had in S or A before. I definitely called her the best carry, at least. But now she's a B tier. She really hates the meta right now in this patch. Her ult has been nerfed super hard. She also, now they have fixed it so that she can use Lucky Shot. Lucky Shot does interact with her ultimate now, but this means to get her ultimate to the power that it was before, you need another 6k item. You need Lucky Shot for your ult to be disgusting now. There's a lot more counterplay to it. It works with line of sight properly, so you're not going to be killing people around corners like you did before. So I think Haze really doesn't like this patch. She's too weak early as well. She's just not a very good laner. I think Haze is pretty bad this patch. Probably a B tier, and I'd say the worst of the carries, other than Seven. But I don't think Seven is good as a carry at all. I think he's better as a support. We'll get onto him. So S tier. S tier now is Infernus. I truly believe Infernus is probably the best hero in the game right now because of a lot of the changes I've already talked about. First, there's the laning phase changes with securing and denying. Infernus used to struggle a lot against heroes like Pocket or Abrams in a 1v1 lane. They would just push him and deny all his souls. And he, as a carry, needs to be getting money, so that was really, really bad for him to lose lane like that. But now, with the deny changes, Infernus can just sit on his tower, chill, and CS all lane, and not fall behind, and he has a much better time for that reason. But then there's also the fact that they decreased the gun damage, the base gun damage, that every single hero gains per level up across the board. So gun scales worse than it did before across the board for every single hero. And Infernus doesn't really care about that. Infernus is all about spirit damage and life stealing off his spirit damage. So that's a bonus for Infernus. But at the same time, with gun damage being lowered across the board, it also means it's even easier to be extremely tanky. And because Infernus already had the ability to be extremely tanky just with armors and spirit lifesteal, he's loving the patch because everyone's building tanky. They don't have too much gun damage. So one, he's more tanky. And two, a headstone of all Infernus builds is that he's building toxic bullets, right? Toxic bullets is extremely high value this patch. People are going for huge health pools. They're going for extreme tankiness. They're going for healing. And toxic bullets being an innate part of your kit is unbelievably valuable. So I think Infernus is probably the best hero this patch right now. After playing scrims and tournaments, it seems everyone's feeling the same way. He's very high prio. People are banning him in drafts and people are first picking him. He's very, very strong right now and counters the tank meta very heavily. That's why he's S for me. Now we have Ivy. Ivy, I think, is in a bad spot. After this most recent patch, we just had a hotfix. So Ivy was probably going to be an S or A tier because of the Kudzu bomb build that Hydration made popular. But they just nerfed her ult extremely hard. So Ivy's ult will now respect line of sight, which means she's going to be silencing and knocking up a lot less people with her ult. They've also reduced the vertical range on her Kudzu bomb to only 2 meters, and they've lowered its scaling quite significantly. So I think Ivy's been really hurt with this hotfix we just had, and I don't think she's in the best place. I could be proven wrong, but for now, again, I haven't been able to test it too much with a recent hotfix, but I think this patch has really hurt her, and she's also an extremely bad laner, and I believe lane is the most important part of the game right now. Kelvin. Kelvin, for me, was an S tier, but now he's an A. They have absolutely gutted Kelvin's gun damage. They already lowered gun scaling across the board, but they also lowered Kelvin's base and his headshot multiplier. So Kelvin's gun has been demolished this patch. It still hits, but it hits nowhere near as hard. It's a significant nerf to Kelvin. Beam also got hit with the movement slow being lowered. So Kelvin has definitely been nerfed. Still a strong hero, good laner, great mobility, great supportive tools, and still a strong gun. One of the best ults in the game. So he has to be an A tier for me, but he just can't be an S anymore. Our second D tier, and don't worry guys, this is going to be the only D tier, Lady Geist. Lady Geist is just really bad. I know there's some Geist lovers out there, and I love to play Geist as well. I really like the way she plays. But the problem with Geist is that she has the lowest health regen in the game. She starts with only 1 health regen. 2 of her abilities damage her, and she's extremely slow. She also has, in my opinion, the lowest impact ults in the game. You can also see it coming from a mile away since she has to be in your face, and a simple silence glyph can just ruin her entire game plan. Geist finds it hard to keep up with the pace of this game with how slow she is, and if she's building too much speed, she's going to get an even later power spike. She starts off pretty damn weak. I think for Geist to be better, they need to take away her self-damaging, or they need to increase her health regen, because at the moment in lane, all you need to do, genuinely guys, is trade with a Geist, because sure, her bomb might hit you hard, but what you're not taking into account is that she's damaging herself when she throws that bomb, and she has probably half your health regen. So in the long run, if you're trading with her, you're going to be winning. She's actually a lot more underwhelming than she seems. Just ego a Geist and you'll beat her every time in lane. Lash for me is probably at the top of B tier, maybe low A. Doesn't fit the tank narrative very well, but he is a very strong laner. And now with the changes to laning and not being able to, just stomp lanes by denying and get ahead that way, Lash brings more value to the team in the way that he's an extremely strong ganker. He can, hide off to the side of a lane, uses grapple and ground slam. He's a very, very valuable roamer and ganker early game. So he can help your team snowball that way, and he can really spiral out of control if you let a Lash get ahead. I think going into endgame, his ult is something to worry about. He does have a scary ult, and his chase potential is extremely good. So I think Lash is very good. I'm not sure if he's A or B though. I think I'm going to put him B for now. McGinnis. Now, McGinnis, this one is one that might surprise you guys, but it also might not if you watch my last tier list. Last time I put her quite low, I think, because I said, or I might have put her higher, but I said, I don't see people play McGinnis the way that she should be played or the way that I know she can be played. And that is abusing wall and how strong her heal can be. I think that she is extremely strong, and now I'm starting to see it. In scrims and tournaments, McGinnis is being put to work. For me, McGinnis is at the top of the A tier. She's arguably the best laner in the game. With her wall, she has the ability to freeze lanes. She has the ability to deny enemies kills on minions. She can lock people from their lane partner and get free kills in duo lanes. And she's pretty much impossible to take her Guardian from. She can hold Guardian very, very reliably and pretty much freeze a lane as long as she wants to. Going into late game, her heal is absolutely unbelievable. When it's max upgraded, it will heal anyone inside it for 5% max HP per second. Now, the duration and range of the heal both scale with spirit power. So late game, McGinnis pretty much has her heal permanently up for her team, healing everyone inside it, 5% of their health bar per second. Now, if you don't think that's unbelievable already, then I don't know, you need to do some math, because that is crazy. On top of her ult being good for team play and her wall being an extremely powerful, maybe even obnoxious tool, McGinnis is finally seeing some play and she shines. She really does. Then we have Paradox. I think she is very, very strong. She has great tools for lane, not the greatest solo laner, probably one of the best duo laners. But the reason Paradox is so good is, again, roam potential, like Lash. But the thing is, Paradox's roam and catch potential stays throughout the game. With Carbine and Swap, with some organized players, just a couple of people following you around. If you run around as Paradox with a Mo, and you swap them into Mo or with Wraith, anyone who has high kill power or high catch power running around with Paradox, you're going to pick up a lot of free kills and then snowball into big team fight wins that way. Very good initiator, extremely strong for that reason. Now, again, similar to Infernus, we have Pocket as my second S tier. The reason I believe Pocket is an S tier is because he is probably the best 1v1 laner in the game. No one can do as much damage as Pocket can off spawn, and he has absolutely no problem CSing with his shotgun. Denying is also, it's on the table for Pocket. He's one of the heroes that can deny this patch, similar to Abrams, but Pocket doesn't suffer from the change anywhere near as much, as his roaming power is also extremely good. Being able to carry momentum with Mirage and one-shot people with his ability combos. Not to mention, when Pocket gets ult in a 1v1 lane, you don't spawn with zipline speed boost anymore. So if Pocket gets ult early and he ults you, he basically takes your Guardian for free, because you have to leave the lane when you're afflicted or he will kill you. So Pocket has laning phase going for him, but then moving forward throughout the game, Pocket's damage stays crazy good, and his affliction comes with a 60% healing debuff. Pocket, again, like Infernus, counters the meta and also kind of enjoys it. Pocket for me is an S tier, but he's probably a little bit below Infernus. I'm going to leave them this way around, because he's definitely more counterable than Infernus is. Something like a Silence Glyph or a Curse will hurt Pocket a lot more than it will hurt Infernus. So yeah, he's more counterable, which is why he's not as good as Infernus. 7 for me is another C tier. Really horrible as a carry. because he's a bad laner. He has almost no mobility, so catching 7 jungling is very easy. And it takes him very, very, very long, like I'm talking 24k plus souls, to actually come online as a carry. Before that, he's not going to be running people down and catching them early game. He doesn't have any movement speed yet, and he barely has any damage. So 7 support is really the only way 7 was up here, in my opinion. But now that they've nerfed his stun being able to hit through line of sight, he's not doing so well. Yeah. 7's a C tier for me. Shiv, I'm not seeing Shiv played too much. And I think I'm seeing way too much Spirit Shiv. I think Gun Shiv is still incredibly strong. I'm going to put him in A tier. My teammate Lex plays this character consistently in tournaments and scrims. And absolutely pops off against the best players you can think of. So it's very hard for me to put Shiv lower. And I can justify why he would be this high. He's a pretty strong duo laner. You know, he has a shotgun, which is great for CS. He has extremely high damage output once he gets his abilities. And later into the game, he really enjoys the tanky meta. His 3 is literally just a better version of Abrams' 3. He turns some of the burst damage he takes into a dot, which means that he has time to, you know, heal up before he dies, where other heroes would die. Shiv doesn't, and he heals it back up. He's extremely tanky. No one can get as tanky as Shiv can. And, you know, pair him with someone like McGinnis and he's standing in heals, he's pretty unstoppable. I think Shiv gun build is absolutely incredible this patch. And I think he's definitely deserving to be up here. Then we have Vindicta. Vindicta for me is 100% an A tier. She kind of fits the meta like these two with the anti-heal, but she doesn't fit it as well. You know, she's someone who you can catch out much easier than you can these two heroes. She's a lot squishier than both of them. But she does have Crow, which is insane anti-heal. She has some of the best roaming potential early game with Flight, some of the best catch potential with Tether. And she doesn't get bullied in lane anymore by heroes like Abrams because she can just sit back and CS absolutely fine. And she doesn't have to worry about getting denied all game. So Vindicta for me is definitely an A tier hero, one of the strongest heroes for sure. Then we have Viscous. Viscous for me is gonna go in the A tier again. Very close to putting Viscous in S tier, but we're gonna stick with the narrative that these two heroes, you know, being very strong throughout the game and also countering the overall tanky meta that we see. Because of gun damage being lowered, that's what's going to decide our S tier. These guys just counter the meta so well that having one of them on your team is extremely important. But Viscous is also very good into both of these two because he has a cube that cleanses and heals his teammates. So he can cleanse Pocket's Affliction off of people. He can save people from, you know, a Paradox swap or a Mo and Krill. He's a very strong laner and he's also a very good split pusher with Gooball. Viscous overall is very strong and for sure one of the strongest heroes, probably in my top 5. Warden. Warden is a weird one. I don't think Warden's doing very well at all. I think he's one of the weakest laners in the game. With his gun damage being nerfed on top of the global gun damage nerf, I think Warden is struggling. His gun isn't hitting anywhere near as hard as it used to, and he's not able to run down people and just nuke them like he used to. So from laning phase, Warden isn't as much of a threat, and even though they increase the scaling on his ult, he still doesn't scale very well into late game at all. So I just don't think Warden is very good. I really don't. Wraith, for me, is up here. Wraith is incredible right now. She was already one of the better CSs in the game, but now she doesn't have to worry about getting pushed and denied by shotgun heroes like Pocket and Abrams. Wraith is extremely powerful in lane because of cards. And she, again, it doesn't matter if she gets pushed back now. She can CS for free. She has probably the best roam potential in the whole game, early game. She can get from lane to lane much quicker than almost any other hero with her teleport. And she can perform ganks very efficiently. With gun damage being nerfed across the board, Wraith kind of likes this patch because building tanky on her is very easy, at the same time as spirit damage actually works very well on Wraith. You can go Surge of Power on cards, Rapid Recharge, Soul Shredder bullets. Shadow Weave, you can run around ganking, and you can put out infinite damage all game. Wraith hits very hard all game, and she's the better spirit carry out of her and Seven. I think Wraith is very good for a lot of reasons. Probably top 5 heroes this patch. Yamato. Yamato for me goes somewhere around here. Now, sorry, just going to reposition Paradox. I think she's better than that. But Yamato for me, I think Yamato is probably around here. But this is only when she is piloted by a very, very competent player. So Yamato is extremely strong in lane if she manages to push wave 1. She's very weird in this manner. Basically, if Yamato manages to push wave 1, she can abuse the damage on her right click while you try and clear your minions. And her damage on her right click, her alt fire, is extremely obnoxious early game. And if Yamato gets you pinned behind turret at low health from wave 1, which she is very capable of doing, you have pretty much an impossible task ahead of you of retaking that lane, and she's going to take your tower pretty early. She has an ult that literally makes her invincible, making her one of the best divers in the game, one of the best chasers, and it makes her pretty much uncatchable. You can only kill Yamato that's out of position if she is either one, ridiculously out of position, and you kill her when her ult's over, or you catch her with a silence glyph or something like this. Throughout the game, Yamato will be a problem diving your backline, diving your supports pretty safely, because again, she can just press ult when she's low, kill your support, and get back out and healed up by her teammates. Yamato is someone who is not very often played extremely well. She has a huge skill gap, but I do believe she is one of the better heroes in the game. I've changed my opinion on her a lot since the last video, and that's because I've been playing a lot more scrims and a lot more tournaments and seeing just really competent Yamato players put her to work, and she's incredibly powerful. Mo and Krill. I think Mo and Krill is not doing too well. I think he's down here, though maybe I could move him up a little bit. For now, though, we'll put him here. The problem with Mo and Krill is that, yes, he's one of the best laners, but again, pushing wave and denying is no longer a strategy that you can use. It's very hard to deny, so he can't win lane as easy as he used to. And Mo and Krill also requires a lot of farm to carry himself. He's not going to be running around killing people solo unless he has a lot of farm. And in general, you don't want a Mo and Krill taking the jungle off of your carries, like your Infernuses or your Wraiths or Haze, Pocket. You don't want Mo and Krill farming because he's going to do a lot less with it than any of these heroes will. I'd rather have almost any of these heroes, or probably apart from Dynamo, be doing the jungle other than Mo and Krill. But he needs it to perform. The only value Mo and Krill really brings is catch power with Phantom Strike ult or something like this. But then there are heroes like Wraith in Shadow Weave or Paradox with Swap that just does it better, and they do everything else better than Mo and Krill. So I don't think Mo and Krill is very good at all right now for these reasons. On to the star boy of this patch, Mirage, the new hero. Now, I'm going to put Mirage at very low A. I was tempted to put him in high B. This is because for laning phase, his ult is kind of gimmicky. So he doesn't have an ult that's going to instantly win you the lane like Vindicta does or Pocket. He has an ult that's pretty useless in your own lane, but you can use it to gank or to defend a tower that desperately needs help. The problem with Mirage is that his gun scaling is one of the worst in the game. He gets very, very low damage. So he's not going to be stomping people like a Lash is that wins lane. Mirage is going to find it very hard to run around and just kill people. He's usually going to need help from his team. But the sheer map control and, positional power you can gain from Mirage's ult, for instance, he can be anywhere on the map, and if a team fight starts up, click, he's there. A team fight can break out on the purple walker, your side of the map, but he can be pushing the yellow walker on their side of the map. The thing about Mirage, compared to all the other heroes, is that he can take that walker and then instantly join the team fight with his ult, whereas all the other heroes would only be good for trading that walker, and you may lose the team fight because they are not present there. Mirage's power with something like that, along with Tornado being extremely strong CC for team fights, not to mention if you buy Echo Shard. He has a very good utility, and I do believe he's an extremely strong hero. We're going to see how he performs moving forwards, but for now I think he's doing very well, and his ult is definitely a strong power for team play. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really hope a lot of you disagree with me and go to the comments to argue with me, because I do really enjoy the debates. Anyway, until next time, goodbye.